on my podcast and YouTube, Ashley Brown from Ashley Empowers and the Higher Earning Housewife. A little backstory is I've known Ashley for so many years.
Yeah.
We actually grew up in Wichita, Kansas together. I was more friends with her older sister. And then when I moved to Dallas, maybe a few years later, you moved to Dallas and reached out, and we just became very close.
Yeah.
We would go to church together. We became prayer accountability partners together. We were doing that single life together. And now you're married with children. You have your own successful businesses. So how did you get started from going to corporate to just being your own boss babe?
That's such a great question. Well, first off, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on your podcast. So I made the transition to being a full-time entrepreneur in 2016, so going on 7 years now. And my whole motive is because I desire to have a lifestyle of freedom. And at the time, I was really inspired and encouraged by a lot of the women I saw online on social media who were building these personal brands. And I thought, I want to give hope to other women like they're giving hope to me. And so I started producing content on YouTube, which then led me to start creating content on these different platforms, Instagram, TikTok, things of that nature. And it turned into a business.
Wow. So you said that with a lot of confidence, but were you ever afraid when you decided to take that step?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I remember the night that I made the decision that I was going to quit my full-time job. So I had just given birth to my daughter. She was probably about 3 months old. It was our first child. And I remember being in our home, everybody was asleep, and I was on Netflix and I watched Tony Robbins' documentary. I think it's called like Power Within. I don't know, one of his documentary on Netflix. And I was so encouraged and inspired. And after watching that, it gave me the confidence to make this decision, although I was still fearful. So I had been thinking and contemplating about doing something different, about quitting my job, but I was so used to the security of a paycheck, to having health benefits. So I was very scared to do it. But after watching that, and after going through months of like back and forth on how will this work, I just decided to let me try it. All of my ducks were not in the row. We had some credit card debt, student loan debt. We weren't in the best place logically or financially for me to make that type of move, especially just having a newborn baby. But I was willing to take the risk, and looking back, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Wow. So how would you say God has helped you throughout this journey?
So one, He is the foundation of everything that I do. And He's helped me on this journey because He guides me on it. And so although I have fear when I make some of these decisions, I also have faith knowing that He will provide. And so what I like to do is, well, one thing that I've done, that I've consistently done over the years, is what I call prayer walks, where I will just go out in nature. I will walk for about 50 minutes to an hour, no cell phone, no podcast, no nothing. And I will just talk to the Lord. I will tell Him about what I'm going through. I'll pray for specific things. I'll express gratitude for specific things. And He also downloads divine wisdom. So the programs that I've created, to events that I've hosted, I've gotten that wisdom on those prayer walks.
I love that. Divine download on your prayer walks.
Oh yeah, yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely love and recommend.
Okay. So one of the questions I got when I posted that we were going to have this podcast was, what is a higher earning housewife, and how much does she have to make to be considered that?
That is such a good question. So a high earning housewife is a woman who is the CEO of her home and her business. And how I came up with this term is because you see a lot of boss babes and women who are killing it in their businesses and financially, but when it comes to their home life, they don't prioritize it. And I think it's so important that as women, we have a feminine presence in our home, and that we do not let our work or our financial goals supersede our first ministry, which I believe is the home. So I love to encourage women, empower women to prioritize their home. In fact, Mary Kay, she's one of my favorite entrepreneurs. She was quoted to say that her priorities in life were God first, family, and then her business. And so she was very intentional about keeping those things in that order. And so a high earning housewife is essentially a woman who values having a feminine presence in her home, but also wants to contribute financially to it. And the income bracket that you need to be in order to be considered one is, I wouldn't say there's a set dollar amount, but there is flexibility in your spending. You have flexibility to give generously, to invest in yourself, to invest in your dreams, and really live below your means.
Okay, I love that. I love that. So on your page, you've been talking about a new workshop that you have coming up. It's called Femininity?
Yes, Femininity. So I'm hosting in Dallas a Femininity tea.
Okay.
So it's my first tea that I'm hosting, and I just thought it was like really posh, and it will be just like a really fun social gathering where I can gather about 30 women. It's a very intimate experience to talk about femininity and really just give women tips on how to embrace that, because I really feel like as women, it's our strength. As wives, as mothers, embracing our femininity is our strength. So we're gonna come together, we're gonna have tea, we're gonna have light bites, little tea sandwiches, cookies, and really just have fun, just connecting, getting dressed up, and talking about femininity.
Okay, awesome. I kind of want to switch gears a little bit, because I know you've shared this story before about how you met your husband.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning of the year, so a lot of people are already starting to make vision boards or lists of things that they want to manifest in their life, whether it's love or business. Could you talk about, the list that you used to make, and then how you kind of just let go and met your husband?
Yeah, so since the age of 14, I knew that I wanted to be married. I would fantasize about one day becoming a wife. And when I got into my early 20s, I remember making lists of the type of husband that I wanted, and a lot of it was superficial until I started to build my relationship with the Lord. And even when I did that, some of the qualities that I was looking for was superficial. I'm tall, I'm 5'8". I thought I was gonna marry a man who was at least 6'3" or taller, so I had these very specific things that I wanted outside of him just being a man of God and being a gentleman and being able to lead me. But when things really started to take a turn for the better is when I was like, okay, Lord, have your way when it comes to who you want me to be with. And so I specifically found one of the lists that I created, tore it up, threw it out the window, and not even 3 weeks later, I met my husband. And I think that was so valuable, because if I wouldn't have done that, I probably wouldn't have had eyes to see my husband, because my husband, he's a little bit taller than me. I used to like dark skinned, chocolate tall, and he's light skinned and a little bit taller than me. He wasn't my ideal type that if I was out in public, I would be looking at him. Although he's very handsome and I'm extremely attracted to him, but back then, that wasn't the person I was immediately checking for. So I think it was a blessing that I let go of everything that I thought I wanted to really receive God's best.
And where'd you meet him?
We met on Instagram. Shout out to Instagram. Instagram is the plug. And so we met on Instagram, and he was liking a lot of my pictures. Well, actually, if you want to know that story, or if you want to tell your viewers that, if you want me to share that with your viewers, I met my husband July 5th, 2013. And the day before, I had did a full day fast where I just felt like I just needed to spend time with the Lord. I needed to get just reconnected, realigned. So I turned off my phone, didn't get on social media, and just spent time with the Lord while everybody was turning up for 4th of July. And that next day when I turned on my phone, I got on Instagram, and this is before direct messages, any of that. And I saw all of these, I was scrolling and I saw all of these likes from this person on Instagram. So I was like, who is this liking my pictures? So I went to his profile and I was like, oh, okay, he's kind of cute. So I started liking a whole bunch of his pictures. So we did that back and forth that day. And finally I commented on one of his posts. I said, if you keep liking my pictures, that means we go together. And so he literally commented and was like, no problem, let's set up our first date. And he put his phone number in the comment.
Wow.
And we were dating within a month. He proposed within 8 months, and we were married 1 year in 1 day from the day that we met.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at God.
And we've been married, it'll be 9 years in August.
Glory, glory. I love that. So me and Ashley were prayer partners, and I was single. I was a single mom at the time. And I remember one time kind of being down. I was like, Ashley, I don't think I'm ever going to get married. And you were like, I don't even know what I'm praying for. And you just spoke life into me. You're like, you're going to get married. Keep praying, keep having faith, let go of this kind of like preconceived notion of what you're thinking you have to have, and it will happen. And so I just want to say, y'all, it's very important that you have people in your life that are, number one, God-fearing, understand the power of God and just having his presence in your life, having a relationship with God, and that will speak that life into you. So for y'all in 2023, if y'all are trying to find new friends or you need to let go of some ties that are not with it, now is your sign to do it. Let them go. Yes. So what advice would you give to some of our followers who, are maybe a little bit scared to take that step into entrepreneurship, or to maybe even try to find the love they've been looking for? What kind of courage would you give them?
So first off, I feel like in our day and age, what's culturally the narrative is becoming an entrepreneur. And I feel like when you get on social media, people are being very influenced to become entrepreneurs because that's the conversation, but I don't think it's for everybody. So I would really say to be prayerful about the decision, have purpose behind what you're doing. And I encourage people to really start businesses and companies and brands from a place of service versus a place of striving. I've seen a lot of people who have just given into this conversation of full-time entrepreneurship, quit your 9 to 5, and they've had to go back because they're not resilient. They didn't have a strong enough why. So I think people need to be prayerful to make sure that is what God wants them to do. And as far as love is concerned, I went to church yesterday, and the pastor's wife, she said something really powerful. She was encouraging single women, and she was talking about how in the Bible, Paul tells singles they are living the preferred life. And it's easy to look at the season that we are in and be out of alignment because we're hoping to be in another one. And so I would say, enjoy where you are, have fun where you are. Yes, it may get lonely. Yes, you may want that companionship, but the grass is not greener when you get married, right? So I feel like people look at singleness as if it's JV and marriage as if it's varsity, and it's really not. They both have their green, the grass is not greener. They both have their brown spots and their green spots. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's contentment in everything is key.
That was a bomb answer, Ashley. Go, girl. Okay. Well, how can they find you? How can they sign up for your programs or join this new event that you're hosting?
Yes. So I'm at Ashley Empowers on everything. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, podcast, you name it. And if you're interested in ever attending a live event, getting into one of my online trainings, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you, Ashley, for joining us. Again, follow her, Ashley Empowers, on everything. And I'm Amy Ledgister from Aspire with Amy and 3D Lash and Brow.